I think that to teach inspiration covers a depth of people's pain. You have to know the pain to get the gain. And I think I teach that pain is fleeting. Once you know, you go into it, you find the answer. And in the answer is something so much bigger than you could have ever gained or known had you not gone through that little dark tunnel. So inspiration doesn't negate the dark tunnel, it just makes you cut through the fear. I always say, don't go around the fear, cut right through it. If you cut through it, it's intended to be a veil that you slice open and you walk right through. If you try to avoid it, it's when it hurts then.
My name is Nancy Lanzi. I have known Sharon 8 years. I came to see her for a physical back problem, and she convinced me that it wasn't just the physicalness I was having problems with, it was my life and my significant or insignificant other. She changed my life around. I've become a much stronger person through Sharon. I've found my peace in my heart and peace in my life and peace with God. And we have regular talk sessions where we talk religion and how we feel and how she's changed my life and how important she is to me. And my husband has also been changed, and my daughter has also been changed. So she's a big influence in our lives, and we find her and value her very greatly.
And I would love to go back out kind of on the circuit in between counseling and massage to lecture, because I think that some of the stories and some of the intuitive knowledge would broadcast beautifully for larger groups. It would really inspire and it really educate. I can touch more people that way. I have done much public speaking in the past. It first started in the Bay Area in Gilroy when I used to hold classes and lectures on intuitive inspiration, and then when of course I worked as a pastor, a reverend and a pastor in San Francisco, and we held of course services, and I was in front of people all the time doing the sermons. And then I also used to fly from San Francisco to Idaho. One of my clients opened a metaphysical bookstore in Idaho, and I would go there for a week every 6 weeks, and I would counsel people in the back rooms as a counseling center, and I would give lectures and inspirational lectures there every 6 weeks. I think my lectures will add a dimension for me to actually touch and talk to and be involved with more people. So that's my greater goal. And to add staff that learns my techniques so that we can reach more people right on site. My goals are always to know more, be more, and give more. I think that I'll just know as I go what God intends for me. I am always astounded by the accomplishments of being able to help people that have been to 7 counselors before, or been to medical facilities or drug rehabs or alcohol rehabs, and they end up coming here and we find out there was a medical reason other than the alcohol or the situation, and they become new people. And I have been so successful with suicidal people that come here, and they spend the night. I wrap them in a blanket, I give them tea, I listen to them. We work right then with the people that are in question, whether it be their employers and or their spouses and family, and they thrive. They thrive. When I started working 30 years ago to this degree, not when I was in dental office only, but even then, I always set up my hours, and I had a boss that allowed me to go to all my children's plays, all my children's teacher meetings, all my children's events during the day, and that's why I worked where I worked, because I had a great boss. And secondly, now, in the type of work that I am right now, I always promised myself and God and my family that as busy as I am and as many people as I help, and I help multitudes, I would never help them more than I help my own. And they have not wanted for any type of interaction with me. And thank God you can do both. I think that there are misconceptions about me because I'm a unique counselor. I'm not an ordinary MFT. And people will ask my credentials, which I will list, but even though I counsel marriage, family situations, and medical situations, the misconception is that I am just a counselor or I just happen to be psychic. I think that they say, well, if you're a reverend and you're from spiritual, shouldn't you be doing this for free? Because isn't that what God does? God just heals. And I said, well, God knows how to make food in heaven and I don't. So I work for a living, and the misconception is that just because you're spiritual or Christian or all people are, but they use their talent to further their life themselves. You will pay less for me than you will for someone who sits and says, what do you think about that? Because they will say, what do you think about that? Week after week, month after month, and I will tell you what I know about that, and 2 months later, you won't need me.
Sharon, I'm Susan Hela DeRusse, living in Prescott, Arizona. I've known Sharon since, 1990, and she has saved my life. And my life is successful and happy now because of the counseling I've had over the years with her, and my son is saved. I met Sharon when I was going through a very difficult court case with a man who had been my therapist. I had a child with him and was fighting for my rights to his, as a mother to my son. I was in a shop getting my hair done, and I had been praying for an angel. And I always found the most peaceful, loving way with Sharon's guidance, not in an airy-fairy way that made it possible for me to just forget what was happening to me, but in a way that made it possible for me to have less adversity and less conflict, especially with the court. I spent 10 years going to court on and off with this man who had been a therapist. I went to Oregon with him in order to teach my son how to survive being with his dad because his father was losing his mind. I got to Oregon and I was left on the streets of Oregon by this man who took off with my son and went back to California. I called Sharon and I was in a phone booth with no money, no telephone, no car, and I had enough money to make a phone call, and that was it. And she said, what direction are you standing in? And she pointed me to a direction where there was a Catholic church. I went there under Sharon's guidance, and I met a wonderful priest who found me a place to live, gave me some money, and it turned my whole life around. I got hit by a school bus on my way to see a hospice patient. I was a hospice nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharon said, well, you waited too
long. If you want to work in this field, the first prerequisite is love. If you love people, everything else is minor after that. I think that you ask people, you can be mentored for a while. I have people coming next week that are in college that are coming here to ask advice. I mentor lots of people. I used to mentor in the dental field, and I mentor college students here for a while, and they interview me, and I give them a step on the way. I think that they just have to love people. The rest will come. You can learn all the rest.